Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming, and thanks to the Chamber for putting today on. My name's Riethmuller, as you said. I need to introduce myself. I'm an independent Labor candidate in Toowoomba North. That's Labor with a U, L-A-B-O-U-R. I'm one of those older sort of type Labor people who believe in a fair go and egalitarian principles. I have to tell you about myself because I can't, the party won't tell you, there is no party. I was born at Jandawi on Jarrawa country back in the 1940s. From there into a large family. From there we shifted down to New Warwick to be on Queensland land, and back then over to Nangwee on the Black Soil Flat. And that was that was my first experience in a global country, and that's where we are today in Toowoomba on the eastern edge of the global nation land. So I've lived here almost all of my life since then, and I've seen a lot of changes since then. When we were on the farm at Nangwee, we broke in some new ground. I remember sitting on the Scarify as a child while my brother was driving the tractor and watched that soil that had never been turned over before being waved through the feet of the Scarify and turned over for the first time. We thought that was progress, and what we planted then was cropping, and that was sort of a carbon sink, and it was a sustainable use of that land. It's been carried on until today. I was educated at Harristown Primary in the finish, and then went to Harristown High and finished off at Toowoomba Brown. I studied accounting and economics and eventually got 2 degrees in the USQ in education and literature. I'm a father of 4 and a grandfather of 1. Being president of the Toowoomba Trades and Labour Council, you can tell I've got a union background. I was supposed to have that in an introduction to myself, that I've got a union background. And I'm a working person, and I've been that way all my life. And I've got a union background that represents organised labour. I'm presently Secretary of the Toowoomba World Environment Day Committee, with its focus on multiculturalism, Indigenous issues, social justice issues, and we are inclusive of disabled people as well. I work as a supply teacher. I've been active in the community since the 1960s, and the conscription campaign. People of my age and the age of quite a few men here indicated that we have to register for a service in the military, and they had a chance of being sent overseas to fight in Vietnam. So I was feel well about that, and my birthday didn't come up, but there were a lot of people whose birthdays did come up, and some of them birthdays sent away and didn't come back alive anyway. So I'm currently involved in child protection issues as well. I'm the editor of the new zine called The Working Class Advocate, which is a little one-page sheet dedicated to working class issues, mainly focusing on child protection, which is a major issue in Toowoomba. It's quite hidden. The last thing that people know about in Toowoomba is how we treat our children, how the institutions treat our children, and how the government is treating our children when they are unlucky enough to be interfered with. So I'm standing as an independent Labor candidate, having been a member of the ALP for 28 years. Although you'll not see that in the media, they tend to not identify independence as having any sort of identity at all. And you won't see it in the ballot paper either, because the party have dictated that unless you're in a party and you have to have 500 people register as members, and so if you don't have a party membership and a party you aren't unidentified as anything, it'll just be Riethmuller, Neil, Leslie. But independents have shown that they can create an informed debate, particularly if they're positioned in a balance of power. They're always genuine in their values, unlike those politicians who toe a party line. As we saw last week in Canberra, there are many people with different values as to who should be the leader of the government, and it turned out there was quite a division between 1/3 and 2/3 on each side. But until people voiced their opinions, nobody knew what each person thought until the vote was actually taken. So the major issues I see for Toowoomba North flooding, climate change is with us. The tipping point was around 2005. Nobody noticed that. We've had extremes of climate ever since, and we'll have them in the future. Drainage in Toowoomba must be improved, so the Torrens runoff harmlessly. The development should focus on runoff zones instead of having concrete, brick, tile, bitumen all over town. We need to have runoff zones to get rid of that straight away. Stopping coal and other mining. Coal is a climate change carbon that should be left in the ground, and turning agricultural land into wasteland. That's what it is. If you want to know what the Downs is going to be like, look at Ackland now. Most of the Darling Downs is under mineral exploration, and most of it will disappear. There won't be a carbon sink anymore, it will be a carbon emitter. Cropping that we've had has created sustainable carbon sinks, not carbon emitters. Sending the coal trains and trucks through town would not work on their already overloaded transport system. So the second range crossing, traffic on James Street sometimes in gridlock. I've lived on the highway for 10 years, so I know it's getting worse. You can't get onto the highway for quite a while sometimes. Road trains must be diverted out of town, and the proposed tunnel should be 4 lanes. Politically, it's been a part of political football for as long as I can remember it, and that should be changed, and parties won't do it, will they? Warrior Barracks should remain open as a defence strategy. The high-frequency direction finding facility at the corner of Barracks Road and Cronus Road is good for detecting and monitoring radio signals in the Pacific. The old quarry site on Bridge Street was designated an Aboriginal education and cultural site for the previous Labor government, but that disappeared, and it should be restored because the Quarry Gardens concept has fallen through. We need an effective anti-corruption watchdog. The Queensland CMC failed in the Urungi case. Currently we have the police investigating the CMC at the behest of the parliamentary CMC because the CMC never investigated an alleged police officer. They've got the police investigating the CMC at the request of the parliamentarians because the CMC investigated the police. This is farcical. It's a disaster. What we set the CMC up to avoid. I'm opposed to police phone and computer tapping authority because it's a gross invasion of privacy. I support development, manufacturing, education and retail in Toowoomba. Lastly, we now have record child fostering rates because the child protection system doesn't recognise